Kayak anglers, you are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax, let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast, part of the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. Got a great show here with some great guests, some hammers, regional top dogs. So, don't want to keep them out in the back too long. So let's go kick this baby off and get this show started.
Welcome to the Rusty Hook Podcast. Raw and unfiltered kayak fishing content, streaming on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and X. Bringing you gear reviews and candid interviews from the industry's best, angler profiles, tournament news, plus legendary knowledge from kayak fishing's OGs and rising stars. So, grab that cold drink, pull up a chair, and get settled in. Now here's John Rapp.
All right, glad to be with you guys. It's kicking off some episodes here the past few weeks, getting back into the activity, getting into the role. You know, it's off-season time, and I'm trying to get out of that funk, as I talked about in the past. But you know, my intro there talks about OGs, and Adam and Jody, the guests of tonight's show, they've been in the industry almost since it's became relevant. And they don't need introductions. So I'm bringing the dudes on. What's up, fellas?
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
What's up?
Hey, so I appreciate both of you, men, answering the call. You know, I reached out a month ago about this. Unfortunately, our Ohio connection, Matt Ball, is working really difficult. So, you know, my thought process was a regional show. Got West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, talking about our waters and the fall bite. We're 4 weeks into it now, and I thought maybe we could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
I don't even know why you had me. You got Jody. He's like the encyclopedia of bass fishing. I'm just gonna add some little parts and pieces, but you might as well just talk to him.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna be my solution to it is kind of to run from it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's always a depressing time of the year too, fall fishing wise.
It can be.
It's getting that time when you're thinking about putting things away, and
Well, you were just over on the Susquehanna last week, weren't you, Adam?
I was a couple weeks ago was the last one, but it was Susquehanna was rough this year. I know a lot of people know that. It was just so darn low. Like Jody knows that. It was terrible when you're dragging everywhere.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. It's like the day that I was there, and I saw a guy walking the sides up the river, dragging his boat and throwing it looked like a white spinnerbait or something, you know. And he just had me on. He's on the show right now.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, that was, if you saw any of the pictures that I posted recently, if you really want to have a good time, take a big native Titan X up there and then proceed to drag that clear across rocks. There was one point I drug probably 100 yards, and I don't think the kayak actually touched water. So yeah, it was a very shallow water, terrible year.
It was. I was surprised. We were lucky for the tournament I got to be there with when you were there. It was the Kayak Pennsylvania Kappa, their state championship team event. And that Thursday and early Friday, it actually rained quite a bit, and we got to watch the water rise for about the next 2 days, 6-7 inches.
I don't know. Jody likes it when it rises. I don't. At least for this time of the year, if you're talking like Susquehanna fishing, and when it starts cooling off, you'll have all this grass starts pulling up and stuff like that. So, you know, the benefit to obviously fall fishing is like those bass are just they're gonna eat. They're gonna be out there eating. And I think practice I had 96 inches. And then after the rain and all the grass that had decided to pick up off of the rocks and everything,
Right.
once the water rose, like I think I walked away with 84 inches, 85 inches that day. So
It
very
definitely
difficult.
got sloppy, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the only bad thing about this time of the year on the Susquehanna is that grass starts floating down, and it's like you might as well put anything with treble hooks away.
Yeah, for sure. Single barb hooks, or
Yep.
you can get away with some like shaky heads and some jigs, but you don't. Even at that, you don't want to use nothing real heavy. You want something just skipping along the bottom because it's going to get picked up and drugged, by that heavy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you get behind some islands, hide behind some grass beds, find plenty of obstructions in the river. A lot of times you can get away from a little bit of it, but yeah, it's a pain for sure.
Yep.
Hey guys, so the topic, of course, is the fall bite, and I want to dive into something that we talked about here before we kicked off, and that is where the transition of the water. We have that thermocline movement, and so Jody made a really good point right when Adam was jumping on. Was the rivers, you don't maybe see as much effect from it because the water's flowing, it's moving, especially if you have a lot of good flowing water.
Yeah.
Lakes, of course, is a lot different. So maybe let's get into your guys' thoughts on that. On how would you attack the bass fishing? How would you attack when you're out scouting or looking and you find that thermocline and where the fish are in or around it?
Well, the turnover is actually a mixing of the water. So what happens is all that oxygenated water up on top, it gets cold, it starts dropping, and it's basically the bottom meets the top, and they start mixing up during the turnover. And a lot of lakes, you can actually see that happening. You'll see particulates in the water. It won't be like an algae bloom or nothing like that. It'll be more like just pieces of debris. I mean, I've seen some lakes with leafy bottoms, even the leaves will come up, and you start seeing that, that turnover is happening. And like I said before, anywhere that you can find any kind of freshwater intrusion, a river, a creek, anything that's running decently can kind of help you get around some of that. It's still going to be kind of tough. The second thing that I try not to fish those lakes during that time, but I've had to do that where I grew up in around East Lynn Lake and Beach Fork Lake. When that happens, it's hard. It's tough fishing. But one thing you got to remember is most of that is happening out in the middle of the lake in the deeper water. So go shallow, 5-6 feet to the bank, because it happens a lot less there and a lot quicker than it does, out deep and stuff. And of course, when that happens, the fish are kind of stressed anyway when that starts happening. So some are going to get over it before others. So you're going to have to cover a lot of territory. Use moving baits. Spinner bait is a good choice. Something that you can move and throw and move and throw, chuck and wind. And that shallow water is usually what I look for. I try to go a lot shallower when that whole turnover thing is happening, because it stresses the fish, and they're just and it happens less against the banks. Like I say, it happens less against the banks than it does out, and you'll be surprised how shallow fish will get, when all that's happening. There won't be a whole lot of them. A lot of times they'll be so spread out because they don't all try to get away from it at the same time. And like I say, some get over it quicker. It's like having a stomach ache or something. There's still going to be a bunch of them out there with a stomach ache, but some are going to get over it and they're going to go to the bank to get out of it. And So that's one, two big things that I try to do.
Yeah, for me, as far as dealing with any sort of turnover on a lake scenario, the thing that this is a great opportunity for the normal bank fishermen. Like me and Jody are power fishermen. We're gonna pound the bank and stuff, and this is a great opportunity where we get to stick it to all the live scopers. It's just like he said, you know, you get out in the middle, there's so much stuff happening out in the middle. Those bass, bass can adapt, but when you have an immediate change, the bass, the last thing they're thinking about is eating, at least within that area. What they're going to focus on is trying to get back to something familiar, get the structure and things like that. Like he said, like the bank is going to be a great opportunity when you're looking down near any of the dams. If you're looking at the big drop offs, those bass are going to get in those drop offs like morning. They're eventually going to make their way back up in midday when the water starts to warm up a little bit. But yeah, it's just one of those opportunities. You can go to any area where you've got a creek channel and things like that. Bait is going to go there at this time of the year. Shad spawn. Those bass are going to follow the shad spawn. And like he said, using like your baits that are going to imitate shad are going to be primarily the ones you're going to want to use. Like the spinnerbait for me at that time of the year, I actually brought a couple. So this one right here, this is what I love to use. It's just a simple, white on gold. I don't know why, but gold and white seems to really work for largemouth this time of the year. Using that in and around any sort of structure that's right up against that fresh water, maybe moving water current. It could be anytime. It could even be like boats. Like if you're dealing with a lot of boat traffic in the area, you'll see, those bass will congregate around that area as well because it's current. It's mixing up the water. You got oxygen in there. You're going to have bait fish in there, and obviously the bass are feeding up for the winter.
That's key point right there, is the feed up.
Yeah. But the way I always look at fall fishing, I think it's like our second opportunity to get like what you would consider like a pre-spawn bite. The bass are basically doing the same thing that they did in pre-spawn, except they have a different mentality at that point. The mentality is feed up as much as possible, get those calories, build up as much protein as they can so that they can kind of get in it as over time, those wintering holes, and they can kind of hold off there. But and so this is a great opportunity to start catching big fish again, because the big fish are going to not be as wary. They're not going to be as stingy. They're just going to be out there looking for anything that looks like food. And it's a great opportunity to get a hold of some really big females that are moving up shallow, trying to get into as much as they can before they have to go back out in the wintering hole. So,
another good option is if you find an area that has like a large flat with cover on it, like stumps and logs and stuff laying in 4 to 5 feet of water, or even more shallow, those areas tend to escape the turnover a little bit too. If you can find those areas, those are usually good areas. Shad will get up on them. They'll push to the backs of cuts. Just follow those bait fish if you can. Like Adam said, that spinnerbait is an excellent thing to throw that time of the year. The gold blades, for me personally, it seems like, if the water's fairly clear, I'll go with maybe a number 3 or a number 4 willow leaf with maybe a Colorado gold on it if the water's clear. 2 willows if the water's super clear. And as that water, as the water gets murkier and murkier, I'll tend to go more toward the gold. For some reason, for me personally, I seem to do better with gold leaves and stained water. And when it gets really stained, I'll go to a big giant Colorado blade like a 4.5 or a 5 uh, Colorado with another smaller Colorado as my second.
Yeah.
Or even a big Indiana blade would work too. So
Something that thumps. Yeah.
yeah, something that thumps, and get in tight to the logs and rocks, the muddier it gets. But
Well, that's where I was going to key in is that thermocline, as we've talked about, is it's a change in the environment.
mm-hmm,
It's not it's in flux, and
mm-hmm,
so with that, the smaller bait fish are going to struggle. They're going to look to escape that and move to the structure areas that you guys are talking about, and that's
mm-hmm,
opportunistic for the bigger fish. They can take advantage of that.
yeah,
So if you can find an area in the water with thermocline, and I think Jody can elaborate more on that with the 2D that he was talking earlier, is that if you can find that, then you can work those areas and probably do as Adam says and pull out a 7 or 8 pound fish that's feeding up.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we?
A regular 2D, and I'm sure Adam knows this too. I mean, if you turn your sensitivity up on your regular 2D sonar,
Yeah.
you can find that thermocline easy.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's a
and
lost art these days.
yeah, I know, right? Got that right. But
2D.
yeah, I was
Um,
telling somebody the other day. I said they was like, "Man, I got on a big school of fish," and he said, "I thought they were all bass and caught catfish." And I said, "Well, you know how to tell the difference between catfish and bass on just a 2D sonar?" And he's like, "No, catfish have a harder return, and once if you use your 2D a lot, you'll be able to pick them apart because a catfish has a lot harder return. They'll be returning a red,
oh,
instead of the yellowish orange and stuff that the bass.
that's cool.
Yeah, you can tell them apart. It's hard to. It's not easy to do, but sometimes
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I can't even do that with live scope. If I put a live scope down there, this is the issue that I have with live scope. I'll be out there, I'll be like, there's a hammer, and I'm sitting there like this, and all of a sudden I see it come to the surface. All of a sudden, oh, it was a carp.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Come on, yeah.
I'm the same way. It's
Um,
just the more you use it, I guess.
Yeah, right. No, that's a good point. I never thought about like we said before, like 2D has definitely been a lost art, but for
Mhm.
that thermocline being able to find, where that line is and stuff
Yeah, the
like that, it's
line.
definitely you can use that.
And,
Um,
and when you got a stable thermocline, Adam, life begins over top of the thermocline, so you can follow that thermocline to the bank, and just wherever it's hitting the bank,
Right.
yeah.
if it's at 12 feet, start fishing at 12 feet and move shallower.
Because
It's
I don't know if a lot of people out there know, but this is again, we're talking about right before, I guess it switches where you get the
right,
turnover,
right,
below that thermocline, you don't have as much oxygen, right? So
Exactly.
that's the reason why the majority of bass aren't going to be in that area. Obviously
right.
bass need oxygen, but the
Yep.
bigger thing is that bait fish need oxygen. They're going to be more susceptible to changing environments and things like
Right.
that. So they're a lot more, I guess you could say, fragile. So they're going
They're
to,
going to get stunned. They're going to get
yeah,
Yeah,
stunned
yeah.
if
that's
they're
why we
not.
have shad kills.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yep. You'll see that up at Lake Erie. You'll see all the sheephead will just start washing shore, and the reason why is because sheephead are bottom dwellers, and so when that lake and that thermocline switch over, or whatever, that's
Mhm.
what happens. We
They
have it every single
suffocate.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So it's kind of like I used to live on the Chesapeake Bay. It's kind of like a red tide almost.
Mhm.
Like a red tide will come in and just basically
Yeah.
it's just like an algae bloom, and then those fish will push up as far as they can to the bank until basically they can't live anymore. But
Right.
yeah, so definitely interesting.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah.
I always
It's
heard those down in Florida. I didn't know they happened over there.
Oh
That's
yeah. Great opportunity. Like, I think right now a bushel of number one male crabs are going to push you around $400 right now. So it's a great opportunity. You just go down there and scoop up all these number one males off the beach, and they're still alive. They're fine. It's just free seafood. So
yeah.
Well, hey guys, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and continue on with this conversation.
Sounds good.
Rolling out strong with the Rusty Hook crew. It's Big Daddy John Rapp bringing the truth to you. Kayak fishing warriors, we ride the waves. Tournament sails, repping the way that we play. Jackhammers pounding, testing our skill. Mad rigs slaying, getting our thrill. Tackle tips sharper than the blades in the game. We're all in this together, always chasing that bang. Rusty Hook podcast, let's break the mold. Fishing straight talk, let the stories unfold. From the riverbanks to the ocean wide. In the world of the kayak, we take pride. We take pride.
This is the Rusty Hook Podcast, supporting people and companies that support us. Feel free kayaks, paddle, pedal, or power, something for everyone. DuBro Fishing, manufacturer of fishing and marine products for freshwater and saltwater anglers. Big Lake Bait Company, Texas's #1 custom soft plastics bait maker. And Ace Adventure Resort, West Virginia's #1 go-to outdoor destination with whitewater, zip lining. You're tuned in to the Rusty Hook Podcast. More than a podcast, but a way of life. From the biggest lakes to the smallest creeks, we are all things kayak fishing. Refresh that drink, turn up the volume, and feel the excitement. It's time for the second half of the show. Live, raw, and unfiltered. Now, let's join the one and only Big Daddy.
Yeah, that's right. Big Daddy's back in the house, and he's got some bigger guests, some big dogs in the kayak fishing world, and that would be Adam Milstead and Jody Queen. We're talking about fall techniques, fall fishing, and what you can do to make yourself a little bit better successful. The first half of the show, we talked about thermocline, and I suspect we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how to work around that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring these gentlemen back on the show. Hey, fellas. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
Back.
What's up?
Hey, so what do you guys think of that Rusty Hook jam there?
Well, I was about to say, dude, you need to send that to me. Like I can jam out to that while I'm out fishing. I feel like I need to listen to that before I get ready to fight in the cage or something,
Yeah,
Like,
man.
Hey, man.
That XTR I got's got a good dance floor on the front of it.
Hey, I gotta tell you, I'm tickled with that old school big rig that I'm pulling around right now. Got some more things I got to do with that thing, but it's working out pretty good.
I love a big rig.
That video that I threw in there, Adam, was from when I was up there with you guys 3 weeks ago. I just threw it in there with a couple catches and made it dance a little bit with some effects. But
I dig it.
Had a good time, man. It was a good time up there.
The Susquehanna is just it's one of those. This is, if I was gonna say, it'd probably be like around like end of September all the way through October. Man, it's just absolutely insane. It's such a great opportunity to get up there and get a hold of like a personal best. So
I think everybody that during that tournament that week, at least one or two, every Turn the X profile that was fishing that event had a 18.5 to 20-inch fish. It was just those that they didn't come in numbers. It seemed during that time.
Yeah, that's just simply because of the shallow water again. Like the shallow water just, I think, killed a lot of the normal areas that we're used to catching them in, used to giving these bass a spot for them to move up in. They were really secluded. Big talk was dam fishing. That's kind of sucks, but that's where it was this year, unfortunately.
I know.
As long as you can do it legally.
Yeah, right.
I guess there was some question about that on a couple occasions.
Yeah, you think? I was a little bit perturbed over that.
Yeah, you and me and Abby and everybody actually.
Yeah, we was on a anger. We needed anger management after that one.
Yeah.
Well, so spinnerbaits seem to be the key thought here when it comes to working the thermocline. Is there any other technique that you guys might employ?
Yeah, man, shaky heads, anything you need to slow down. Yeah, I mean a swim jig.
Swim jig.
Adam's out there. You like him, Adam?
The reason why, so like when you look at a swim jig, it's basically a chatterbait.
Right.
It's just without the blade. And but like he said, this time of the year, you get that turnover on the lakes, and what happens is like you have all that old dead grass that's like pulling up, man. And sometimes chatterbait fishing is just tough. So that's when you switch over to the swim jig. Like for me, like I could fish this in pretty much anywhere. Like sometimes I'll throw this directly into the lily pads and things like that. As long as I get it out there clean, I'm good. But the other reason why I fish a swim jig, and a lot of people don't realize this, like especially in lakes, particularly, especially like smaller lakes, maybe you got a lot of population around the area, where these bass have been literally targeted all throughout the whole year. And it's like these bass have literally seen everything. And what happens is when the bass even know that they are feeding up for the winter time, these bass still have literally seen 1,000 chatterbaits, 1,000 jackhammers, evos, like pass over them. There's just like this instinction that you hear the vibration, and those bass will turn off. It's not saying that you can't catch them, because I mean, obviously Jody, Abby, you guys still crush them, doesn't matter. But for me personally, it just seems like I can get a few more bites just because there isn't that vibration anymore. So now all it is just like a slight tick in something. If you got a high pressured lake, I think a swim jig will outshine a chatterbait a lot of the times because of just the pressure that those bass have dealt with. And then getting back to just like you can fish a cleaner, and you can fish those things pretty much anywhere and tough cover. You can get to like I said, like another good place. Jody was talking about that 3 to 4 foot range, which is absolutely ideal this time. And it's about that area where you're going to have these perfect, what I call perfect lily pads. Maybe you're going to have, hydrilla, or you can have something just popping out, and it's great to just work the edges of those things. Still fishing clean, but at the same time, still mimicking the style of bait that these bass are generally going to be targeting. This is, I always say in the fall too, bass switch modes. They switch from crustaceans to straight fish. Like it just seems like their mindset is now, things are up, they're right here. I'm going to go after it. I'm going to go for it. These things are schooling. They're making a lot of chatter, whatever. They're going to avoid stuff, slow moving, stuff on the bottom quite as much. Like this is a great opportunity to fish something that looks like a fish. So,
hey, Adam, check your connection on your mic. Or there you go. Okay,
hello.
There, it was good.
Did
you hear that, Jody?
Yeah.
It was coming in and out. It was like a muffle or something.
The whole time.
Hello. Not
I
the
could
whole
understand
time.
what you were saying, Adam.
Yeah.
It was just.
You can.
It was coming.
So I try to talk with my hands so that you guys, like, if that ever happens, you know what I'm talking about. I'll just hold these things up. Just throw. Look, these are your two color swim jigs. All right, that's it. Green pumpkin, white. That's all you need to throw.
Yeah, I can make the same case for jackhammers. I mean, this time of the year, and you want to kind of match the hatch. You want those baits that look like shad, but now there's a counterpoint to that. Sometimes it's the oddball thing that they see that they'll chase after because they're used to seeing. If they're not, I have seen them so keyed into a bait that if it didn't look exactly like it, that they wouldn't hit it. if it wasn't the
Absolutely.
right size, if it wasn't the right color. I experienced that on some of the Tennessee chain of lakes, the Tennessee River chain of lakes. That they won't hit it, and that's when you start downsizing to the mini maxes, and you try to get, the shag colors, but it seems to me this time of the year, I might change my retrieves a little bit. And like Adam said, those heavy vibrating things, sometimes they get used to that. They know what it is before it hits the water. They can hear it, they feel it, and they're used to it all the time.
Well, that's a good point you made, like with the mini maxes or something like that,
Right.
downsizing a blade to that, because definitely could help. What was the other one? The new one Z-Man came out with, Baby Jack. Yeah, the Baby Jack. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was fishing Chick in November a few years back during, I think it was the Hobie TOC down there. And man, I was, I had the perfect, I thought I was throwing a spot remover, had a bad shad trailer on it, and I was catching one here and there, but I just felt like they just weren't hitting it good enough. So I downsized, had a little tighter vibration with that Mini Max, and pretty much, throwing the same color, just in a different, and it allows you to retrieve it a little different too. Like I know that if I shorten my trailers up, instead of using a diesel minnow, I'll take a regular minnows and I'll trim the boot just a little bit, not much. But when that bait hits with that bait, it's got a little bit bigger boot tail on it. When it hits, I'll just kind of lift back on it and kind of keep it there, kind of like you do a swim jig. You can shake it a little bit before you start your retrieve. You can yo-yo it. In the summertime, it's usually we're just burning them things. But, as the conditions change and you get a different environment going on there, sometimes you need to change up your retrieves. But when the water gets cool, naturally the fish sometimes slow down, but that's not until it gets really cool.
Right.
Gunnersville right now, I think it was probably up close to the 80s last weekend. It's going to be in the upper 60s, low 70s by the time I get down there. That's a big drop.
Yeah.
And that's telling those fish, hey, it's time to feed up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like Adam said, you find those pads in those shallow areas. That's when the frog bite is on fire. That's a lot of people punching. You're not going to catch like a huge quantity of fish, but you're going to catch some good quality doing that stuff. Now the chatterbait's always going to be. It's always going to be a player.
Do you ever trim the skirt on your jackhammers or Evos? Because I'll be honest, like it's a $15 lure, and it's like, I kind of want to trim the skirt because I don't know if it will help or not. Like I don't know if that does help.
If I'm having a problem with fish committing, I'll get just a little bit past the hook, maybe 3/16 of an inch or a quarter of an inch. I'll chop that skirt off and I'll use a smaller trailer.
Yeah, that's if your fish are like getting skin hooked and stuff. Maybe you're catching them even on the outside of the mouth. Okay.
Yes, and I will tell you this too. A lot of times when they're not committing, when they're doing a lot of following up or you're skin hooking them, it can be a color thing.
Yeah.
And usually it's one of those three colors that you're talking about that they'll hit, but they'll hit one better than the other.
Yep.
It's the green pumpkin, it's the shag colors. Usually, and I'll throw black. I'm not afraid to throw black in a clear water either, dude. I'm telling you, don't be surprised. They will hit that bait in clear water. But I love the green pumpkin colors. I mean, everything at the bass seats has got a green pumpkin color to it. But that's usually my go-to before I go to anything else. Is I'll just show up with a green pumpkin and start throwing.
I was wondering when you were going to bring black up this time of year.
Oh, well, I love that they come out with the blackjacks. Because I was having to order them from Japan. And, man, that made it a lot easier for me to get a hold of them. But yeah, they
chatterbait life right there.
Yeah.
ordering your baits from Japan.
Yeah.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
That's right.
The fact that he has a resource in Japan does not surprise me.
Yeah, who's your supplier?
Yeah.
I got a dealer.
Yeah.
I know a guy. But yeah, I mean, for a long time, that was the only place you could get them, and they were titanium, also, which made them a little different.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or tungsten. I'm sorry. What I say? Titanium.
Titanium would be that
Yeah.
big.
Like, yeah.
Indestructible.
Yeah. I know, right?
Might be a little light, but it'd be great.
Yeah. Comes with
Well,
the
that's-
Superman symbol on the head of it. You know?
The next big thing will be carbon fiber.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your top water chatterbait.
Yeah. 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 But yeah,
Gotta
they
add
work.
weight.
Chatterbait. You can throw a chatterbait all year long, man. You
Mhm.
can. You just got to make adjustments. That's all.
Yeah.
And,
Now
you know,
we're talking largemouth here, but the one I have to like, I don't know if you use. I know you're a chatterbait guy, but this has saved me. This guy right here has saved me. I don't know what it is about the 412 Dreamsicle, and I'm not trying to get out here and plugging them, but the
No, dude.
Dreamsicle.
It's the truth.
I
That's
am
old
not
school.
kidding. I'm
Dude,
That's
not
old
even
kidding.
in the worms.
Yeah.
Remember those Dreamsicle?
Oh yeah.
Man, dude, those things were.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about this bait, but this actually saved me a bit down at Dale Hollow for Bassmaster, down in Tennessee. Like I was like, let me go ahead and throw it. Found out that actually largemouth like the Dreamsicle too. But the fall time up here throwing that guy, it was the PA Bass Nation Championship that we had up here. I was in 10th place out of day one. Everybody was catching them. And then I decided, you know what? I literally put all my rods away. I just stuck to this, and all I did was fish this. And I had the top most amount out of both days just fishing that bait. Now, granted, I was only getting maybe 7 or 8 bites, but they were all the right ones. It's like the big fish love this one. And so I don't know, man. So for river, I know we're talking about thermocline and fall fishing, but fall fishing on a river, man, the Dreamsicle is just absolutely out of this world.
Yep.
So I don't know if that just like for smallmouth in general, if they're keying in on gold. And I'm not sure why gold works so well for smallmouth, but it just does. I know you love it.
Smallmouth have an affinity for gold, copper, and yellow,
And black.
Yeah.
and black.
Yeah.
There's something about those combinations.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of it is like if you go beyond any of those colors, like if you're looking for something shiny, you want to stick with something. I was always told in spinnerbaits, if you're fishing a more of a bluegill dominated lake, you're going to want to use gold. If you're fishing a lake that's dominated by gizzard shad or threadfin or whatever, you're going to want to use silver.
Right.
And so even with the smallmouth, they're probably not dealing with a lot of shad up there, as opposed to maybe, I think the reason why black works is up on the Susquehanna, you have things called stone cats. And stone cats, if you ever get out there at nighttime and you look, dude, they're completely black, perfect little morsels. They're like the Susquehanna goby, basically.
Yeah.
But the stone cats,
we call them
also
Mad Toms.
Mad Toms. Yeah, exactly. I think they're like, that's a big one for Juniata and Susquehanna, but at the same time, like crawdads, any sort of minnow, shiner things that they have up there, there isn't really a whitish hue. There's more of a darker hue to it. So I don't know if maybe the gold helps with that as well, but maybe it's just a smallmouth thing anyways. But yeah, you're right. Those colors are spot on up there.
I think this time of the year too, you'd be surprised how productive just a regular pop R will be.
Well, it's funny you said that, because I was using I switched over to a small Usuri pencil popper. This is where I got my 96 inches, and I threw it on a spinner rod because I couldn't cast it on a bait caster. Yeah, but it was great because I was able to make it work really well, just like you would use a pop R. And for me, it was I don't think I had a pop R at the time, but then I switched over to this thing, something about the same size, that same profile, and man, it was on. I
Mhm.
hit. I've never seen. I've got a few videos that I'll be posting eventually, but I've never seen such an aggressive strike in practice. I'm not kidding you. I had a smallmouth jump up. It was a 19 and a half, one of my bigger ones that day. I watched it come clear out of the water in about 6 inches of water and dive on it. Like it didn't like hit it coming out. It like drove up and then dove on to the actual pencil popper.
Hey, now
And
how were you throw what in what type of water were you
uh,
throwing it? Was it behind rocks? Was you
yeah,
floating it down into the rocks,
uh,
or
this
what kind of
one,
current?
uh, the current in itself, actually, all these bass were set up when it got really shallow. And for that time of the year, the bass seem to set up on the front end of rapids or any type of moving water, any type of disturbance on the water. So you'll see that. You'll see, maybe a rock is creating this ripple. They were on the front end of that. And so what I would do is I would be just casting on the front end of the shoals and bringing it on the front end of the shoals, not the back end. For some reason, I couldn't catch them on the back end. I think if they go on the back end, they're coming back to rest. Maybe they're maybe it might be the lull in a day where you're not
Digesting
in,
the
yeah,
digesting the catch.
yeah, it could be. It's like there's a point in between a major and minors where it's like bass fishing kind of like really stinks. And I think it's about that time that the bass will move back down into deeper water. And you might be able to get them on some finessey stuff, but when they're feeding, they get right there in the front, man. It's like if you see any rapid, go in the front of it. Don't hit behind it. All the little ones are behind it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's for me. That's the way it is.
Now here we call that the push water.
The push water, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anything
Yeah.
that pushes up against. So what happens is it's like anything else in nature. The biggest and the baddest are always going to get the best feeding spots. So when these fish are, like Adam said, when they're on it and they're really, really feeding, they'll move up. They'll hit the spots that you don't, like even a rock in the middle of the current. When you think, well, I mean, I can't get no bait to get down in front of that because it's hitting right against that. Hit in front of those rocks because that's where those big active fish are going to be first because they're going to be first to get to anything that comes down through there.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the best feeding position that they can get. And the rest of those other fish, they're not going to mess with that dude because he's bigger than the rest of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like when the females move in, the biggest females, they spawn first and they get the best spawning spots.
Yep.
It's just the way nature is. And Jeff Little and I have talked about this extensively because he asked me one time, he said, where's the first place you throw in those conditions? I said, I throw in the front of all of them. I throw in the front of them because that's where those fish sit. And he's like, yeah, he said, you're right. You know, they do. And Jeff's got an extensive knowledge of river fishing up through there too. But we both agreed that those fish just get the best feeding positions and the push water. And like Adam said, you know, right before it drops into all those little ripples and rapids or whatever, it's like that water gets a little glassy right before it does.
Right before, yeah.
Man, if you can get a good cast up in there without spooking anything, and a lot of times if you're wading these small creeks and they're a little spooky, that's where they spook from anyway. You know, if you spook them, you'll see a big hoove go up, and they're always laying in that push water right before it drops into those rapids.
Yeah.
So
you made a good point. The when a lot of the times when you have that, so like let's just say we've got a shoal or we've got some sort of line there that where it's coming up, and then now you're starting to have a rapid right after it, right before that push water. I saw that up on the Allegheny, and that's actually where I caught almost every single one of those bigger fish that I caught for the second day was in that push water. And what I was noticing is that, so it's a little bit different, but at the same, it's a little bit different, and at the same time, it's the same as like largemouth, moving to shallow water for bait fish. What they're doing is these bait fish are getting pushed up to the shallows, and so they're basically acting as the current. The largemouth are acting as the current to the bait fish, whereas in a river, the bait fish are in the current and getting pushed these shallows. And when you get to the push of the shallows, it's like the bait fish only have one way to go, which is like just, you know, so it's a lot easier pickings. Everything is coming up to them because it's getting shallower right before it gets into a rapid. And so it makes sense. You know, it's like a funnel.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right. It's a highway for bait fish and also in those situations too. And I've seen this a lot in lakes. They pick areas anytime that they can shove bait up at like a point coming down. You find that shallow water, or the reason why they go to them cuts, they'll run that bait all the way to the back of a cut because they run out of places to go. It traps that bait, and they can just, it's like a dolphin. I don't know if you ever seen the porpoise come up and they'll run fish up on the beach and then eat them, you know. But they run out of places to go. So, you know, during this time of the year when that turnover's happening, you find those little shallower cuts that run back, you know, and it stays fairly, you know, 4 to 6 feet back to there, and you're out of all that turmoil that's going on. Big walking bait, I can throw a big walking bait back and I won't go back in there. I'll stay out of it. I'll just sling that thing away back in there, you know, and just walk it out. And a lot of times you'll hook up like that too. Those fish, because they're pushing those shad back in there. Those shad are trying to get out of that too. And when those shad are on those points, those big walking baits, man, they're deadly.
Oh yeah.
Spooks or what's that other one? It's waiting toward the end. Oh, shower blows. Those are good baits too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
dropping the knowledge.
Hit those.
Oh, sorry, I need to be writing a lot of this stuff down. You know?
Hit those cuts.
Get the transcript of this and put it in your notebook.
It's that time of the year, man. You're going to get, you know, I mean, right now, it's triggering fish in these lakes that are, these first cold fronts are dropping down into anywhere along the Tennessee chain there. Right now, when you get that first real big cold snap, it sets up as a trigger. These fish know it's coming. And, you know, when it first starts, you're going to be getting those 4s and 5s and 6s, and then when it really drops down and it gets into the low 60s and the mid 60s, that's when your 6 and 8s are going to be readily found. You know,
have you had a frost up in Pennsylvania yet in your area, Adam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Every morning. The last week we've had frost. So
yeah, it's frosted here too, John.
Has it? Well, I went outside last night and recorded crickets. I mean, we haven't had one here.
Man, that's
Here
crazy.
in Summersville. Yeah, there are crickets out there today. I mean, like,
that's crazy.
It's
you need to get one up there.
I'm sure it's not going to be long, but that will be something too that'll make a quick change in the feeding patterns, because I mean, that frost starts killing all your bugs off, and a little bit of rain.
Everybody thinks the only thing I throw is a chatterbait, but I throw other baits too. I just don't know what they are.
Hey, while we got you, Jody, I know you just came back from Santee. What was the fish acting like down there?
When we first got down there, and the water is about a foot low, and Abby and I, we crushed them in an area last year. They just hadn't moved up to the area we went to on our first day pre-fishing down there, and we found them a little farther up in the head of the lake, up around the cypress trees. And we got in there one day, and Abby and I both had over 100 inches on day 2 up there. I mean, we popped them.
Yeah, I was I was taking a look at that campground where you were staying at on the map versus where I normally go. You're up in the northern lake part of it.
Well, you get up in there, John, and it's more reminiscent of Caddo than it is, because it's just big cypress forest, lots of grass,
lots of snakes.
Lots of snakes, lots of gators. But you can actually get back and maneuver in through some of the trees back in there. Now, they did seem to be in the deeper trees. I caught a few off the deeper trees, but man, most of them were shoved up shallow, and it just poured the rain for days.
That's
And
no fun. Yeah.
Of
but we
course.
got back in there, and that's 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy down there. But back in that cypress forest, you could get out of it. You know, it come in and turn you around every now and then, but most of the time you was out of it. It was raining so hard, and the wind was blowing so hard. I could look out on the lake, and of course, a lot of it was blowing sideways, and there was big drops. But back where I was at, where it was hitting all those cypress, it was just like a real heavy mist. The wind was just, the water was hitting the tops of those cypress trees, and it just breaking it up into like mist, and it was just
Wow.
like a blanket. You know, it was crazy. But
I believe that would have
really
been.
good.
I would have been at the Marina restaurant drinking some coffee and eating a biscuit and gravy or something.
Believe me, I wanted to. I thought about it. I was like, yeah, but we caught.
Were you there for it was the Hobie event 2023 when they got rid of day 2 because
Yeah.
of that? Or
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, day 1 was canceled and day 2 was good to go. Yeah.
Was that when they held it at Black's Camp?
Yeah, it didn't even hit the wind.
Yeah, oh yeah, it didn't hit, and I was thinking about that. I was like, I'm sure they were probably like, thinking about
were
ending
sweating.
something. Yeah,
They were one of the few times you see anybody glad that it actually hit because
yeah,
because I'm sure they were happy that they made the right decision, but
yeah.
They just told everybody, don't be stupid, don't
Not all
this
you
lake
can
is-
do.
Yeah,
Be act like the professional you're supposed to be.
right.
That's
Don't
not-
get
that's-
out in the open water and shallow water, but it can
That's
happen.
not a lake you want to tip in.
No.
No, it's not.
I saw
Did you
the what was it, like a 13-foot gator? That was on
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That guy, I was talking to that guy. He said, "Man, this is the third one we pulled out of here this year."
I believe it.
Wow.
I've seen some monsters down there, especially over around Angels.
Yeah,
My goodness.
he caught that one off around Pine Island.
Okay.
Jeez. Now
That
I'm
was-
guessing he like dispatched it, like he was actually hunting.
Yeah, they were filling their tags. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well,
They had tags, and he said they're going to make alligator bites and boots.
Nice.
And he said there'll be no part of this gator go unused.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a big one.
Well, fellas, final thoughts?
Well,
On oh, you go ahead, Jody.
I'm just getting ready to go to Gunnersville.
Yeah.
Right now, that's all I'm prepping for, man. And I'm thinking, like I said before, I think the frog bite's probably going to be pretty good down there, but I also think there's going to be a chatterbait bite. But as far as the turnover goes, like I say, I mean, my first instinct is, when I know a lake is turning over, is I want to go to where there's fresh water coming in.
Moving
You know,
water.
I'm gonna go to a river or a good sized creek where I know the water is cleaner, and those river fish aren't going to be nearly as affected if you can get to a river out of the lake. If you can't, go shallow. Go
Yep.
shallow and where there's not so much of that going on.
Yeah. I second what Jody said. And like I'll reiterate, this is a great opportunity for you to stick it to the live scopers. Like
Yes,
this is
yes,
your
it is.
opportunity. You get a hold of some big fish shallow.
Yes,
So
it is.
do what he said, go shallow. And for me, I fish chatterbait quite a lot. I mean, Jody put me on freaking the Evos, and they
Yeah,
I can't put them down. They catch fish. So,
They
but this will be the one time of the year where I probably wouldn't start out with that. I would start out throwing a spinnerbait because, again, like we said before, the spinnerbait is something that's it's flashy, it's big, it's in their face. But what a lot of people don't realize is spinnerbaits, they're not meant to look like one fish. Like if you're looking at this spinnerbait, a lot of people don't realize this is the way I always look at it. This is a mini A-rig. This is you have a couple different things. This looks like a pod of fish. And that entices the bass a lot more, especially if they're keen in on pods of shad, if they're keen in on pods of stuff. So again, fishing shallow, I'm gonna throw the white for largemouth, and I'm gonna throw this guy. It's just a Booyah 3/8 ounce. I'll put maybe a chatter shad or something on the back of that thing, and I'll throw that guy out there, and I'll pound the bank with it constantly. And then what Jody said, pay attention to how they hit it. If they're getting skin hooked, start messing around with blade colors, start messing around with the skirt colors, or maybe go to a chatterbait, or maybe even go right to a swim jig, because maybe they're just too finicky at that time. So, but yeah, that's that. So I've learned a lot here myself listening to the legend. Yeah.
Well, no. You got to, and remember this too. And you're starting out in those cold mornings. The bite is going to go through different things during the day too. So if they're not in that directly up on the bank early, maybe they're waiting on the sun to come out to heat it up a little bit or whatever. Just stay out in that 6 foot range, but still, try to find some shallow water where there's not so much turbidity. But that bite's going to change.
And if you're using some type of scope system or sonar, switch it to 2D.
Yeah. If you're ever looking for that thermocline, switch it over to that 2D, turn the sensitivity up, and it'll show it every time.
Switch it to 2D, work it to the bank, and find it where it meets, and rock and roll. Start there. Yeah. All right, boys. I appreciate your time. Adam, thank you for jumping on tonight. I know you
thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Jody, as always, you two fellas, top notch. Think the world of you guys. Nothing but love. I appreciate you.
Yeah, so, appreciate you, buddy.
Y'all have a good night.
See you, Adam.
See you, Jody. See you, John.
All right, so appreciate those men taking some time to work with me tonight to put this show together. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's all about the fall bite. If you missed it, go replay it. By tomorrow morning, I'll have it uploaded to the podcast channel, which is listed in the link. So make sure you go take a look at it. Anyway, this is John Rapp, Rusty Hook. We are out of here.
Rolling out strong with the Rusty Hook crew. It's Big Daddy John Rapp bringing the truth to you. Kayak fishing warriors, we ride the waves. Tournament sales, repping the way that we play. Jackhammers pounding, testing our skill. Ned rigs slaying, getting our thrill. Tackle tips sharper than the blades in the game. We're all in this together, always chasing that bang. Rusty Hook podcast, let's break the mold. Fishing straight talk, let the stories unfold. From the riverbanks to the ocean wide. In the world of the kayak, we take pride. We take pride.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching the Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, the Rusty Hook with John Rapp, the River Run with Adam Fraser Cross, the Real Backwaters with Daniel Whitcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.